Hey guys, back with another Maple Story video here. This time, wanted to do another breakdown of my Damien run. This one was 525, a big improvement from our previous run. Just wanted to kind of share that with everyone, kind of what we've learned, what we did differently. So kind of right here, it says we cleared phase one in 249. An insane jump. This was our previous best run with this squad. And it was over 4 minutes. You see, we're going into phase two right here, 556, over 4 minutes and 4 deaths. So I think we go into phase two with 0 deaths. So basically, we're just happy to get into phase two. This was just last 10 days ago, right? So this is our first run since then, or our best run since then. And we only run Monday, Thursday. Kind of, we have two teams, probably about like seven, some overlapping on both teams, but for the most part, it's kind of a mixture of guilds. Just trying to get, again, I mentioned before, just trying to get the leads of all the guilds in the server. So there's Emperor, Shelter, Oolong, ex-cons kind of in there with us, just you know getting reps, getting experience, so they can lead their guilds after V3 comes around, or if they want to run even before V3 comes up. And we just kind of want to bounce ideas off of each other. A lot of smart people, not just me, or people in our guild. There's a lot of smart people out there in the server, so we're just trying to do the best we can based on experience and kind of what we see, because the game, and things are a little bit different than what there are in Korean Maple Story and things like that. So definitely was a benefit for everyone. And this run, you'll see right here, I'll kind of just break down things that first off, this run was much better because we had callouts. So I made emphasis to memorize all the skills and rotation of phase one, kind of just call it out preemptively, similar to how we used to do in Hard Magnus and in Arc when we first started out, just to help kind of one less thing for everyone to worry about. They're not reacting; they're kind of anticipating. They're prepped, and it allowed also me, kind of as me and Frenchies, who is our top Mercedes, as the aggros, to kind of control positioning. And that's sort of the most important thing that we focused on, other than callouts, right? We tried to cut the map in half. A lot of the times, a lot of our mishaps or mistakes happen when we were stuck on the right side, kind of behind this skill wheel. It's very unusual. And it's just hard to see what he's doing, what skills are coming up and things like that. And we don't like that, right? So we tried to keep him on this kind of the left half of the map, dashing to the corner, left corner, back into the mid. You'll kind of see what I'm talking about. And as aggros, we tried to, emphasize this to help the team out, call out which way we're dashing it, things like that, so people could avoid the dash and not get branded. And then we want to start off right? I think what we learned was, with our strategy, we wanted to ignore branding in phase one, because I think we had enough DPS. We did the math. I think it was like Mira, in one of the servers. She's a bishop. She kind of just put out on one of the posts that, the math on how much HP is in phase one and phase two. I think it was around 390 something bill was to get the 30% threshold to push it into phase two. So that's, a 3-minute fight, which was our goal going into this. We tried to get through phase one in 3 minutes. So shaving off a minute from our previous PR definitely was a large goal, kind of a big jump at the time, we thought. But with around 30, no, sorry, it's not 39. It was 900 something bill, right? So it was around 30, just over 30 bill DPM. So over 3 minutes, we'll do around average 90 something bill, if that makes sense. And you'll kind of see what the numbers end up after our phase one. But we want to start off right. So what we talked about, we noticed in Korean Maple Story, they tried to pin it left and get it into this left corner. So you'll see right here, everyone's on the left half of the map. Aggro, we're facing him left here. He's going to do dash first. So we wanted to stay stacked up right here. Very good by our team. Then Rotted's going to come down. We're all going to move, right? Move out of the Rotted. And then people are just going to avoid this dash and then try to get back on top of him as soon as possible. You see everyone's in that corner stacked up. We all blinked over. See, I blinked over. I have 11 seconds left on blink. Get to this corner, because the next skill is teleport right here. He teleports into the corner. So one of the things that allows us to do is stack up DPS wise, control this next Rada that's going to come up. I'm going to stun it right here, 58 seconds. So after the teleport, stun it, maximize your DPS. Everyone's bursting. We have split up. Everyone's just doing DPS. And then here is what we wanted to control, was this Rotted that's going to come up right here. right? If we're all stacked in the corner. So I think something we talked about was kind of get all these people that are right here on the skill wheel in the middle to get to the corner, right? Because this rotted kind of positions in a weird spot. It's not all the way directly in the corner. And it's really hard to make this jump if you're stacked in the corner. It takes 2 teleports versus if it was in the corner, it would just take, it would be a smaller rotted to avoid, and we can maximize uptime. So it didn't cause any deaths here. You can see kind of where people have to use iframes right there, but getting off to a good start. Right here, you see all our burst is up. We got it chunked down really good in the first 20 seconds before this popcorn. And now we're telling, popcorn's next. One of the things we learned was try to fly up right here with blink. And so we could come back. So some people ended up going all the way to the right corner, and some people ended up flying up like we recommended, because it allowed us to drop right back on top of him and get DPS down. And so then this next dash coming, push it back to the middle. We all avoid it. Right here is black smoke. So basically during this run, I'm just doing call outs here. So that people know what's coming next. Dive is going to be next, for example. Dive it and then dash. So we're going to dash it left. I'm calling it out right here. Dash and left, avoid that rotted. And so people are just going to, when the dash comes, you see there's a long wait period here. So a lot of uptime to get down, and he's going to dash. You see this purple galaxy again as the indicator for dash. People are going to use iframes, or they're going to bounce to the other side and avoid that dash. So we do a pretty good job. You see branding stacks are really good. First minute, 1, 3 is the most, right? And our DPS is really good as well. So a lot better, just a lot more uptime. You see people aren't running around kind of with chickens without heads and in bad positioning. They're all kind of in the same spot, and that really helps us control the rotted and push forward and maximize our DPS. So right here is going to be this blue hand. One of the things we tried to do for this sequence right here, it's going to be blue hand and then the teleport. So we tried to maximize DPS. Blue hand doesn't come down for a long time, and it doesn't even kill you. So we kind of just told everyone to eat it if possible to maximize DPS. And then this blue orb right here is what you want to avoid. So this is what's going to it's going to be a big stun, and you'll see it happen in phase 1 and phase 2, where we're trying to, this is what kind of is annoying. The actual hand coming down, 90k damage, isn't that big of a deal. So we all popcorn here, fly up like we mentioned. And you'll see our phantom right here. He kind of has this binding effect, and it's really long, and it's kind of annoying. But right here, we're all back on top of it. Right here, he's going to dash, or he's going to black smoke, I think, next. Yep, black smoke and then dash. So this is an interesting sequence where if I recommend, if you have Synchro, if you have an iframe, really use it for this sequence, because rotted really comes down after this dash. Rotted comes down kind of in a weird spot right there. And so we're kind of all stuck in the corner, dash them left, and then black smoke's going to come again. So I just pop my iframe right here just to maximize DPS. And these are just little things that you learn and pick up. I tried just to be accounted for. You see a lot of people died from that black smoke. So if you have an iframe right there, it's just a nice little sequence. You don't have to worry about it. And maximize uptime. But right here, 2 minutes in, we're actually doing really good, right? DPS wise, 9 lives left. It's going to be dive. And so we're all just keeping uptime. Rotted place in a good spot. He's going to dash left here, pretty sure. And we're just trying to push it through pretty soon. So one of the things that I think after this black smoke. Yep. So we're all doing a great job. See how we're all stacked right here. And this was a good opportunity for me to use my stun. We all have maximum uptime, DPS, and we're trying to chunk it down right here, because what's coming next is dive and then popcorn. So we tried to stun it here for 10 seconds to get it through phase 2. We weren't able to. We were really, really close. And then popcorn comes. Obviously, we can't do damage here. And then we're going to push over to phase 2 right after this skill. So to be honest, we did a great job, but I think we could have done a lot better. Just a few things here and there that we'll talk about that we could have improved on to push through even faster, that we're definitely going to do next time, and keep progressing. But overall, that was phase 1. Kind of the good, the bad. I'll talk about things that we're going to improve on a little bit after this. But overall, it was as good as it gets. We were super happy about that. Going into phase 2 with 7 lives, we have 2 phantoms and a buccaneer, so we have time leap We have a ton of reses on top of a bishop. So we had 6 reses. We didn't even use them all right there. So we could have even finished with 10 deaths if we were a little bit more aggressive with that. And now phase 2. So for phase 2, we tried to, again, push it left and with the same concept. So again, I called out skills as best as I could. The main things that we learned was that dash is everyone has to be aware of when it's coming, right? They have to prepare for it. That's pretty much the big skill that I was focused on. And everyone should be focused on. So dash comes in the 3rd, 6th, and 12th skill of the cycle. So there's a post out there, I don't know, but basically you can figure out the rotation just by watching videos, and there's a consistent cycle. Dashes comes on the 3rd, 6th, and 12th skill. So you don't really have to know what comes. I mean, it helps to know what's coming before, but for the most part, that's kind of what we revolved everything around. And so we wanted to obviously push it left again so that he could hopefully dash left into the corner and everyone could just stand on the right side and just DPS, right? And then the blue orb whoever had the blue orb would stay in the middle and push the blue orb away from everyone, because it reduces your damage by, you only do like 20% damage if you're near it. So that is the thought process with this run, but it didn't go as planned. So we'll kind of walk through it here. First skill is going to be dive. We mentioned we wanted to get to this left corner for this dive and fly up and blink, because this dive targets a player, right? So it's a great way to position the boss right off the bat. If we're all stacked on the same side, he's definitely going to go in that direction. So we have a few that went to the right, but fortunately we were able to get it going left. And so here, the next skill is going to be teleport. So we all tried to stack for this. So he teleports in the corner, maximize our uptime, get that orb out of there. And then right there, and then dash is going to come up right here, and he's going to dash to the corner and no one dies. So that was the thought process going into it every single run. With every single dash here, blue hands coming down, benediction is up, so we actually won't get the bind effect. So we're just maximizing DPS again, making sure this blue orb, we have we weren't very comfortable with this blue orb call outs and things like that. We can definitely work on it, but right here is kind of the issue, right? With stacking in the left side. So I'll rewind it. We're stuck in the corner here, and he dashes right. So unfortunately, even though I'm aggro here, I'm in this corner right here, his sword is going this way. So he's facing right. So at the time we didn't know this. I had no idea which way he was facing, kind of based on the silhouette. But now I know that if whichever way his sword is facing is the way he's facing. So he ends up dashing, kind of killing everyone who doesn't have an iframe or something like that. And yeah, so unfortunately, you'll see kind of through the cycle of dashes and things like that, that left side is kind of buggy, or it just isn't consistent. He doesn't always face left into the corner per se, right? So here, I talked about the blue hand before. See how it's right here in the middle on top of him? It's actually going to reach really, really far. Look at that. He binds all of us in the left corner. So just something to be aware of with that blue hand. It does take time to kind of wind up. So you can avoid it, I guess. But that was just interesting to see. We all thought we were going to die right here. And obviously phase 2 is, so the big thing that kind of made us fail in phase 2 wasn't the dashes really, because we had a lot of lives left, reses, TLs, and things like that. It was branding. So branding in phase 2 is every 15 seconds versus in phase 1, it's every 30 pretty much. So again, I tried to make sure I pinned it into the corner right here for the dash. I knew it was coming, still went right. So unfortunate. We'll talk about what we plan to do next video in the next run, but we have some ideas. I'll talk about it at the end of this. But so branding, you see the stacks are at 4, pretty high, and it comes every 15 seconds. You see the timer reset, branding complete, timer reset, 15 seconds up here. So it comes fast. And that's where I lost track of so many things, right? I was trying to look at positioning, making sure that he dashed into the corner. Blue orb, who was getting it, who was, when it was changing people, when it was rotating, and then branding the black altar. So there's phase 2 is there's really 3 things that you have to pay attention to. And kind of, I just I wasn't able to do it consistently. So we kind of got overwhelmed by branding. We missed a black altar, and it kind of, you'll just see real quick, it just gets a lot of swords. And so we get through 5 minutes here through phase two, kind of 2 minutes in phase two. We got through entire cycle. So this, if you don't know, this tornado skill, yeah. So this tornado skill right here is the end of the cycle. So it's going to reset completely. After this skill, it's going to be dive, teleport, dash. So it's going to dive here, left. So I messed up. I'm going to get hit right here. And then we're going to try a stack in the left corner for the teleport. Right here, teleport. So he teleports to the left. Everyone's trying to get on this altar right here on the right side. That's why I'm the only one left. So after we got branded on, unfortunately, we don't get there in time. We all gonna get 6 stacks, I think. And then right at this next branding, I think it brands everybody. Yep. Damien will brand everyone, of course. Terrible timing. So black altar made it all go from 5 to 6 stacks. And then Damien branded everyone on that one, and we all got branded. And you'll see it's game over from there. There's like the entire map is filled with swords, and we were just like, yeah. So that was our run. Now I'm kind of gonna talk about, we did a lot of great things, right? We made it 5 minutes. We got through phase one in sub 3 minutes. We could have done a little better there. And I'll kind of walk through some of the things that I'm looking to improve on. Obviously, this was a great run, but it's not anywhere near close. Like we were in 2 minutes into phase two, and we did that much damage. So we're just fine, right? We were kind of focused on phase one, getting through it. But so we're kind of focused on the start here. So the start is great, in my opinion. I think one of the things that we kind of just want to clean up, like I mentioned, was we want all these people on the skill wheel to be in this corner, right? Because we want this, it may not seem like a big deal, right? But it's really kind of just creating good habits, kind of, consistent habits that we can replicate, so we can get consistent results with this teleport. Because this run, right, you'll see the sword kind of pin right here, and that's not all the way in the corner. So it's really far for these people in the corner to get across that before that first detonation. And if we didn't have iframes, synchro, whatever it is, we would have died, right? So just to push that sword a little bit closer into the corner just makes it a lot easier for us to one jump away versus 2, right? We might get clipped by it, and you'll lose all this burst uptime, right? And then secondly here, again, we can all blink up into this around it. We told them to circle around so we can land right on top. Some of us, did fine, but it could have been better, right? And then we wanted to avoid this dash. I think in order to successfully kind of go through phase one without having to use branding and minimizing our stacks, we have to avoid these first 2 dashes, right? They're very predictable, they're fast, they're coming. And I think, some of us eat this one right here, and that's in our other runs where we failed. Eating that first 2 dashes really adds up. So a few of us ate it right there, not that big of a deal, but we just wanted 2 things, again, we can improve on, knowing that either they're going to just wait for the dash to come. They're just going to wait in this right corner. So here, they're just going to wait in this right corner here, and then wait for dash to come and meet them in the middle, or they figure out a way to dodge it and not get branded, right? So then all this comes up really quick. And my mistake was I was so focused on skill rotation as I didn't realize Shan was dead. I think he was dead for a long time. So he dies here, and I don't think I res him for another, I don't even know. Like, I'm just so focused on calling out skills, dive. He's just sitting there, dead. So we could have got some uptime DPS there. I obviously have res up, so I could have used it easily. Got him back in the fight. So that's an easy fix for me. Kind of just something that we can improve on, get more uptime. Like, he's still sitting there, and I'm like, oh, there he is. But here we do a great job uptime DPSing during this blue hand. I think before people freak out over blue hand, right? They try to find the opening, and it's not really that big of a deal. It's not like the black smoke where that's a one shot. Blue hand is minor. It's super minor. It doesn't even brand you. So it's really a skill that you can get hit by and just avoid this bind, right here. So maximize uptime as much as you can, right? Especially because after that blue hand, teleport happens. So if people are spread out, you lose a lot of DPS, a few hits, seconds here and there. Obviously, these people on my team are very understanding of me kind of going through this breakdown and kind of sharing with people. They're very, they're very, you know, self-critical. They're willing to learn and listen. And so one of the things that we try to do is see everyone stacked here. A few times our bishop in the right corner, you can see her, she's kind of off doing her own thing. So I think for, when I was talking to her about it, it's like, it's one of these things where you have to retrain your mind as like a range player, where you feel like safety is kind of with the distance, right? It's kind of like in hard Magnus, you have to train yourself to be closer on top of the boss, on top of Magnus in the force field. It's the same thing for Damien. It may seem like you're safe out here, you can attack from far, but it's really kind of crucial. So we'll talk about her right here. She's right here, and she's fine, right? She's attacking. She feels like there's no big deal. She's safe. She found a safe spot. But our call outs are, we're expecting a dash left, right? So I'm calling out dash left, and she's over here. And so when dash left comes, she's not going to be able to blink across. So Rotted is going to come here, kind of right on the team, right? So Rotted's going to come right in the middle, right here. And so the dash is all the way here in the left corner, and she's stuck, right? She's stuck, and she's trying to get across, and she wasn't able to make it. So if she was, right on top of the boss or just slightly behind, so you're watching me, right here, I'm going to avoid this dash by dashing through or jumping through, and I'm here. If she was here, if they were here on it, they could have immediately dashed, and then I blink. So I use blink right here, and I'm all the way on top of the boss, all the way in the corner. So just that, just little things, right? And then the Roddy comes, she's trying to cross, and she's like, oh, nope. And doesn't get there. So like Mira Jane actually, right here, Mira Jane actually does get the blink off. Like they blink, and he's over here. So maybe she could have blinked right here. Maybe she was just like, she didn't realize she had blink up. She's not comfortable with it. It happens, right? I think that's another thing that we're still getting used to the blink skill. Some people, like, if you don't know, it teleports you right on top of the boss. It obviously has a very far range. Maximize it. It's on a 15-second cooldown. It's kind of a huge tool to have to get uptime, to avoid Rotted, to just reposition. So here you'll see our DPS is at 39.18. It stays there for a long time, right? Black Smoke, the thing about Damien is he doesn't really follow aggro, right? He doesn't really move. The only way he moves is through dive, through dash, or through teleport. So if those skills aren't coming, he's stuck in his position, which is why uptime is so important. And so she's like still here trying to use a black altar. So, not trying to pick on her. We talked about this. She understands, like, it could have been anybody, right? I think like that's the whole thing. We're all understanding that it's not one person. We're all trying to improve. We're not trying to make mistakes. People are just trying to focus on surviving, right? I think that's always priority number one. But we're kind of in the phase where DPS is our best friend, right? We have 6 reses in phase 1 where we can really, be aggressive DPS wise, positioning wise, just to push it through phase 1 without having to branding. Because, just because we survive for 4 minutes in phase 1, that's kind of the point where it starts to overwhelm us with branding, and the swords and kind of deaths start to fall. That's how we got this phase in 4 minutes, right? We survived for a long time, but it kind of just got overwhelmed by swords. We didn't have iframes up, things like that. So very interesting, kind of a new kind of DPS is always the ultimate X factor when it comes to getting these clears and pushing through certain tough situations. So there she goes back. There he goes back, dashes back to the middle, and we get uptime. And so again, little things like that here and there, like we're trying to dive here, where we can always try to maximize our DPS, just find ways, right? Everyone kind of did a good job pushing right towards Rotted. A few kind of pushed left, which is fine because obviously range can do it. But here we are kind of pushing forward, and I think right here we could have done a little bit more, uptime DPS wise. If we do a little things better along the way, right here we could have pushed it through, right? Like again, we have it may not seem like a big deal, positioning wise, but you'll see like here, again, she was kind of stuck in the corner off the map, didn't really get much uptime. So the team did great overall, but just little things we can all improve on. I could have done better with callouts, positioning, could have res people faster. I think I missed a few in phase 1 and phase 2. So it's not just one person here there. I think a lot of people, could say that there's little things they could have done better to do more damage, right? So I think we could have cleared even around here, right? 230. We had a stun going down, and then we had an uptime. Everyone's there for the boss, and then this iframe, right? So 25, 724. We could have cleared it before then. 724. We don't get another attack for 6 seconds ish, 7, 8 seconds. So then we're going to push it through right here through phase 2. So we definitely could have shaved off easily whatever that was, 20 seconds almost, just by making a few adjustments. Obviously, with experience, we'll get there. So really excited. Phase 2, again, we'll just get into it. The thing we wanted to focus on, we might, how I mentioned, the left corner, it was continuing to face right and wiping everyone on the dashes. There's 2 things that we really want to focus on for that. So we wanted to either position him where he's not on the corner. So in phase 1, we wanted to be deep in the corner for the rotted. There's no rotted in phase 2. So we thought about, after this dive right here, get him to teleport right on top of the skill wheel. So right here, right on top of the skill wheel. So he definitely is looking left, right? So this dash right here, he's in a perfect spot, because right here he's facing left. You see the sword's going left. He's going to teleport. Perfect. That's the prime spot. Everyone can move left. I'm aggro. Sanko's up. Easy dodge for me. Maximize uptime right there. Benediction up for this blue hand. Keep up the uptime. Another thing we want to focus on was kind of call outs, having another person designated for black altars and blue orb. Now that's a lot of people talking. Me doing call outs, blue orb, black altar, 3 people can get a little hectic. We're going to try it, right? I think it's very difficult. There's a lot going on. 3 things we have to focus on a lot. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think I just did a poor job of managing all those things and communicating it to the team while trying to make sure I know what skills coming up next and how to position him. So right here is going to be blue hand. Then he's going to do kind of that dash with the lines that we have to dodge. And he's going to dash right back. So right here, just kidding. Just dash, wipe everyone. So like I talk about, unfortunately right there, we couldn't really, after the dash. So my issue with this right here was I stunned it. So I stun it right here on his blue hand. So he's going to skip a skill. He's going to skip the line skill, the line dash. So he does blue hand. He's going to skip a skill. We're doing DPS, and he's going to go right into dash and wipe everyone. So I could have done a better job not stunning there. Wiped everyone. Then he teleports right back. So really awkward positioning. So either what we're going to do with that is either have it on the skill wheel, or we're going to try the right side. We're just thinking there had to be a reason why Korean Maple Story pins phase 2 on the right side versus the left. And I have a feeling it's this reason right here, because he faces right by choice. So if we pin him on the right side, he'll always face right, versus right here on the left side, he was obviously facing left sometimes, facing right sometimes. So really awkward. Something we're going to try. We don't really like that gameplay behind the skill wheel. But I think that's going to have to be the play, just because it's really hard. He kind of dashes back and forth and he ends up in the corner anyway. So we'll see how it goes. But really, the most important thing is you got to get branding down. They use, in Korean Maple Story Mobile, they branding every single black altar. So we're call outs, things like that. Like I can't even keep track of it while I'm watching this video back, right? There's white altar right there. I tried to pin it. White altar, black altar. I don't even know. But we really got overwhelmed. Branding, tornado. So those are some things we're going to work on. Like I mentioned, phase 2, call outs, have people designate certain things. Positioning, a little bit better for the dashes, just trying to be aware of which way he's facing. Hopefully people can use iframes or, preemptively dodge it. And yeah, and one last thing is kind of stacking. So like you'll see here, again, like right at the start, this is kind of very common, right? Just push it back a little farther. So right here, you see where everyone is kind of, we want to be in the corner. So even like here, like this entire run, you'll see it back. We have a lot of people kind of all over the place. Yes, dodging stuff and things like that. So that this was after a dive, pushing into the corner, but people are still standing kind of out here, right? And when the blue orb transitions, right, to Frenchies, this was a transition. That's why the blue orb is coming in. All these people are doing less damage, right? All these people here are doing less damage. All people in the corner still doing the same amount of damage, right? 100%. So it's not only going in, but going back out, right? So all like what we talked about is we want to get into the corner so that you're not getting the blue orb cross over you in and out, right? Just to maximize DPS. It's little things like that, but it really over a long period of time, creating good habits, it helps, right? It makes a difference. So you can see it goes all the way in, crosses all of these people right here, and they do 20% less damage. Maybe if only for a few seconds here and there, not that big of a deal. It is, right? This is going to be a very tight DPS race, especially as more orbs start coming in with less HP. It matters. It matters. So you might as well start creating. This is kind of what it's all about, creating good habits now. So we're, we can kind of adapt to it over time. So right here, that was because of a dash, and all these people, like, yeah, dash, I understand they move to the right side, but here they got to push into the corner, right? Push into the corner. They're just doing DPS anyways. They have their iframes out for blue hand, push into the corner a little farther, so they're not doing all this less damage during their burst or whatever it is. So little things like that, but a lot to learn. This was a great run. We got very, very far. I'm excited to get even farther this next week. Excited to share it. If you have any questions, comments, things that we could do better, all for it, right? But this is kind of our progress. Hopefully it helps other people, get started, have a baseline to, learn from our mistakes, so you don't have to deal with kind of all this that we're dealing with. And hopefully you guys, have some fun with it. It's kind of what it's all about. We're enjoying it. It's not too stressful. And thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.